Thunder Clatter was kind of the beginning of a lot of the stuff with Wild Cup, where I had been doing singer-songwriter stuff, and then I just kind of like had heard something that kind of sparked my brain about the idea of this loop, like this, like kind of banging on bottles and like xylophones and all this stuff, and I just started to build out this pad that's at the beginning of the song. And I had that, and I just kind of felt like there was something in there. I was like, I don't know what it is, but there's like a song in here. I just got to like chisel away at it. And then I started to kind of build the changes with everybody. And I brought that into rehearsal, and we sat with it and probably
for way too long. I think we listened to that loop for 4 hours.
Yeah, I think the neighbors were like, I don't know this is absurd. What is going on in there? But we started to build that out, and then right around in that time, that's when I met the person who would end up being my wife. And so that was kind of like, I was already starting to link into the idea of that the record was going to be about kind of this transition from essentially being like 17 to 27 and what that was, because I was turning 27 at the time. And so the song ended up kind of being like the idea of like, I had this, the whole record was about this idea of like, how do you make that transition from being like a 17-year-old who thinks that you can do anything better than everybody and everything revolves around you, to being 27 and not keeping that romanticism, because it's so important and it's so rare by the time you reach the back end of that progression, and not closing yourself off to the point where you maybe miss that person that you're supposed to be with. And so in a lot of ways, Thunder Clatter was like me acknowledging and celebrating a little bit, like I somehow made it, like I caught this person in the midst of all that kind of, you essentially go from being, like I said, like bright-eyed and thinking that you're the greatest, to hopefully not being that cynical guy who works at a record store and doesn't talk to anybody. And so it was like a little bit of a celebration of that thing. And so the short version is it was kind of about my wife, but the longer version is it was kind of, that's why it's like we play that song all the time now, and everybody will be like, don't you get sick of having to play this like 3 times a day? And I'm like, no. It's so symbolic of like the formation of these, like all my 5 closest friends, my relationship with my wife, who I now like have a 9-month-old baby with, all these different things. Like it really was this great, like it felt like someone was like turning the key in the door. So we're totally grateful to be able to keep playing it.